866-28-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today's Wednesday, 4th day of October, 2017. Hope you're having a great Wednesday wherever you are. Thanks for joining us. If you're returning, welcome back. And if you're here for the very first time, then a special welcome to you. We are certainly glad to have you with us. You have charts to look at and a chat box to communicate with us. We've got a global audience, so if there's something you want to share with the world, get off your chest, something on your mind, just put it in the chat box. If you cannot see the chart I have up, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions, or you can go to youtube.com/cfrn/live. You'll see the charts there. You'll also have access to a chat box, just a slightly different version. Okay. Let us survey the landscape here. We have another turn in the road on this incredible tragedy from Sunday night in Las Vegas. The worst of its kind that America has ever seen. Now news comes from the sisters of the woman who was originally a roommate, who then became a girlfriend. The Australia-based sisters of Stephen Paddock's girlfriend say they believe he sent her away so she wouldn't interfere with his plans to go on a shooting rampage in Las Vegas. Australia's Channel 7 TV interviewed Mary Lou Danley's sisters with their faces obscured and their names withheld. They said they were surprised to learn Danley had gone to the Philippines 2 weeks ago, and they suggested that the trip had been Paddock's idea and that he had paid for it. One sister tearfully said, "I know that she don't know anything. She was sent away so that she will not be there to interfere with what he's planning." The woman said Danley was a good person who would have stopped Paddock had she been in a position to do so. Authorities say that Paddock used Danley's identification at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, prompting them to track her down. That in and of itself seems unusual. He checked in to the Mandalay Bay using his girlfriend's identification. I mean, isn't the purpose of identification to identify who an individual is? I mean, did the clerk not look at it and go, well, you don't look like Mary Lou? But anyway, NBC News reported on Tuesday that Paddock had recently wired more than $100,000 to an account in the Philippines, Danley's home country, though the reason is unclear. Danley arrived back in the U.S. late Tuesday night, escorted by FBI agents in Los Angeles. NBC News spotted Danley arriving at the Los Angeles International Airport in a wheelchair. Investigators are hoping she can provide more clues into Paddock's motivation for the attack, which killed 58 people and wounded more than 500. Now, as horrific a number as that is, given his vantage point and the fact that there were over 20,000 people crowded into that small area watching this outdoor country western concert, where the crowd had, within the hour, had just sung "God Bless America." I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. Danley and Paddock reportedly lived together in the suburbs in Mesquite, Nevada. Danley had been married for 25 years before jointly filing for divorce with her husband, Gary Danley, in 2015. A neighbor, Susan Page, told the newspaper that Paddock and Danley were closet people and that she never saw them. We anticipate some information from her shortly. According to the Clark County Sheriff, she is currently a person of interest. It's hard to imagine living with someone, being their quote-unquote girlfriend or boyfriend, and not having any idea whatsoever that there is this anger, this unease, whatever it is, just bubbling below the surface. I mean, no one has yet to come forward and go, yep, I knew that guy, was up to something. It was in the way he walked or talked or did business or comments he made or things he wrote. Not a person has come forward to say anything yet other than they're shocked and surprised. So we haven't heard the last of this yet. You can take that to the bank. Let's take a look at the numbers around the world today. Markets continue to put in new all-time highs, and I'll just give you a heads up. We just hit a weekly trading zone for this week, 2536/37. In fact, I may go ahead and just adjust these on today's show. 3637, and there's only one zone above that, and it's way up at 48.49. So we'll see how the market handles 36.37. Okay, these are cash markets I'm talking about now. We'll start in the U.S. The Dow is up 35 points. NASDAQ up 7.5. S&P 500 up 4.5. The Russell 2000 up a little over 2. In the commodity basket, crude oil is up a penny, trading 50.43 last. We did have crude inventories today. Gold is up $1.50, trading 1276.10 last. In the Asian markets, where we saw some real fireworks yesterday, today the Nikkei closed up 12.5 points. Shanghai was up 10 at the bell, and the Hang Seng, another pretty big day, up 205 points. Yesterday we were up 600 points on the Hang Seng. Today up 205 points. That's about 0.75%. Color of the day in Europe, mostly red. The FTSE down only 0.5 point. The DAX up 67 points, which is 0.5%. And the CAC, it also barely in the red, down just 4 points. So mixed in Europe, green in Asia, and here at home, everything's green. Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein is weighing in on the big debate raging on Wall Street, and that's the prospect for Goldman Sachs making a market for digital currencies. We talked about this yesterday. In a tweet, the prominent Wall Street executive and former trader appeared to signal that the jury is still out on Bitcoin, but also cautioned skeptics to consider that the rise of paper money over gold might also have fostered similar doubts from market stalwarts. Turning back the hands of time there. Here's the substance of his tweet. Still thinking about hashtag Bitcoin. No conclusion, not endorsing / rejecting. Know that folks also were skeptical when paper money displaced gold. Blankfein's comments on Twitter are in contrast with more decidedly critical remarks from banking peer Jamie Dimon at J.P. Morgan, who compared Bitcoin's parabolic gains over the past year with the 17th century mania for tulip bulbs, which eventually imploded. Dimon referred to Bitcoin as a fraud and said it won't end well. Slightly more subdued remarks from Blankfein also follow reports that indicate that the world's most prominent investment bank, Goldman Sachs, wants to take advantage of the boomlet in cryptocurrencies and is weighing a new trading operation dedicated to the sector. In recent trade, a single Bitcoin was down 2.3% at $4,300, but is up about 350% so far this year, 2017. Comparatively, the S&P 500 index is up more than 13% year to date, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average has gained about 15%, while the NASDAQ Composite Index has risen 21% over the same period. The rapid ascent of cryptocurrencies has made it impossible for Wall Street investors to ignore digital assets that did not exist less than a decade ago. Bets on its success or failure have been ramping up with each all-time high. Wall Street experts, including BlackRock boss Larry Fink and Morgan Stanley CEO James Gorman, among many others, have weighed in on Bitcoin over the past few weeks. That is not likely to change until the debate is settled. With that, let's go to Michael and get a recap of what happened in the live training room today. Today is Wednesday, so Wayne Jett will be joining us at the top of the hour, and John will be joining us along the way. Michael, if you're ready.
I am.
I noticed that we received an email. I was just going to check to see had you responded to it yet.
From Juanita?
Yes.
No, I have not responded.
Okay.
But
because I'm gonna.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you want me to, or are you going to do it?
You can just let them know that those are,
Yeah, they're just.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, I will do that. All right, and
okay, I can see a chart.
you can see my charts. I can see the question box and the attendee list. And John is out there already. Okay.
Okay, and you can see the chat box.
I can. Yep. I can.
It's so odd that I can't, but I'm glad you can. All right.
All right. Ready to go?
Hit mute. Yep, it's all yours.
All right, here we go. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 4th day of October, 2017. Okay. Let's start out with this. If you have not taken the free trial with us and you want to take the free trial with us, go to the home page here at cfrn.net. And right here, where it says click here, if you do that, you'll be sent to this page where we just ask for your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit the submit button, and you will be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click the confirmation link, you will not get a free trial. Okay, you must click that confirmation link. Now, in the recap, today we had a green day. All right. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 4th day of October. We made 10 ticks in the Russell, 12 ticks in crude, and we lost 2 in gold. That put us at plus 150 on the day. Plus 150 on the day. It took 114 minutes to do it, though. And 8 trades to get to 150. All right, and we took a total of 9 on the morning. All right, so now on the month, we are positive, finally. And on the year, we are at 26,775. That's over 187 days, averaging 143 per day gross. Okay, now let's go into what happened today. All right, on the gold. See the gold hit the low of the day right here. That is so cool that we have the low of the day and high of the day now. On the gold, the first one right here, we got 1 tick. All right, then we stopped out. That put us at minus 7 ticks. And after we stopped out, it went and did what it should have done. Okay, and we didn't take this second one here because we hadn't broken dynamic resistance yet. Okay, but then when we got up here, we got 5 ticks on that move, and over here we had a break even. During the break, it looks like there was a short right here and another short right here during the break. All right, now the cycle's starting to go up too steep. Okay. All right. Let's see. Right here on the euro, there was a momentum short trade right at the beginning. It was a momentum short trade. Turned out to be, well, would have been a break-even trade probably. And over here on the euro was the only one that we did, and it was a break-even. And the markets were just really choppy. You know, we have Yellen and Draghi speaking this afternoon. So that's going to make the markets a mess for everyone. It will be a mess for everyone. On the crude, let's see, we had a break even right here. All right, then we needed a lower swing to get into it, and we didn't get it until down here. And then it changed directions. I don't know why I missed this one. Oh, that's because it was right at the crude inventory, so that's why I didn't do anything. The crude inventory excuse me. And crude inventories came out, and there was a much larger draw than was expected. Okay, much larger than was expected. And apparently gasoline was off too. And the discrepancy is just gonna create confusion in the markets. Hang on. Dell just said he can't hear me, so I'm just letting him know it's his problem. All right. So then at the end of the room this morning, we had a long trade bounce off the BBC right here, and we picked up 12 ticks on that. All right. During the break, nothing. Now this shaded area here, when the inventories happened here, I had said price will probably come back to this shaded area right here. This area was where price was trading before the API numbers came out yesterday. Okay, and you can see it came back to it 4 times. And it's pretty much back into it right now. And that was the day on crude. All right, on the Russell, you know, we had some partners that got their goal on the Russell today, and some partners that got chewed up on the Russell today. Again, I have to look at where the Russell was trading. You see the ES is at the high of the day right now. It just put that new high in. And weekly trading zones, and the ES was just a mess. So I was not trading the indexes while the ES was such a mess. Well, except for a couple of times here. You know, when the ES gets away from the zone, then it's okay. But when it's in a zone, it's not okay. So there was a short right here on the Russell, and a short right there on the Russell. First one was 8 ticks. Second one, 2 ticks. And then it just became as much of a mess as the ES was. See, there was no long trade here because it's going right up into dynamic resistance. And that's it. Okay. Now back to the ES. The ES was in a 4-point range all morning. And you can see it's recently got out of the 4-point range and put in a higher high right here. But from the low here at 29, there was a high at 33 right here all morning. And then it just did this, which exceeded the day's range, doubled the day's range really. And it's at the high of the day. There were no trades on the ES today. Okay. And now we'll go back here. Okay. We'll go back here. Today is the 4th day of October 2017. All right, so we had 10 ticks on the Russell, 12 ticks on crude, lost 2 on gold, plus 150 on the day. 114 minutes, 8 trades to get to $150 a contract, and a total of 9 trades. Gross profit on the month is only $95, but it's, you know, we're early. It's only 3 days in, and we did have 2 days that were not good so far. So we're positive now anyway. On the year, 26,775. That's over 187 days, averaging 143 per day. Now you can see what the months are normally like, and that's 1 contract, 2 hours per day. 1 contract, 2 hours per day. Okay. Again, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the home page here at cfrn.net, and right up at the top where it says click here, click there. And you'll be brought to this page where we ask for your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit the submit button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click on the confirmation link, you will not get a free trial. Okay. And that's it. That's it, guys. All right, with that, I don't know if Dwayne's back from getting his coffee.
Yep, I'm right here.
Okay. With that, I will pass it back out to Studio A in fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park.
It's a true story.
Only took 10 years for me to figure that out. 11, actually, now.
Oh, let's see. Here we go. So, price ran up into that weekly zone at 36.37.
Yes, it
We're
did.
getting a little bit of a pullback here. We actually spiked up to a high at 38. So the range for this session, we got a low at 28, well, 29. And we got a high at 38. So we got a 9-point range on the session. Hey, it's not the 20 that we've been used to for so long, but
and for the first 2 hours, it was 4 points. It was 4 points. It was 29 up to 33 until 11:20.
yeah, this little kick in the pants. Well, let's see. 11:30. Yeah, so really it was here. It was in this half hour from 11 to 11:30. 11:30 to 12. Now we're working. In fact, we're going to get a new candle here in just a moment. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do this today. I'm just going to bump this up to 36.37. And as you can see, we overshot it just a little bit. Looks like we'll close possibly inside of the zone. We got under a minute. Now that means we're gonna get rid of that, and then we'll move this up to 25.24, and this up to 25.23. And if we look back, there's the Globex open, and below that we had 13.14. Now the partners get these numbers Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern, before Wall Street wakes up. Now once we publish them, they don't change for the whole week. So we ran up and hit the zone on that opening 30-minute candle, 23.24, backed off, and this pullback took us right to where the market opened Sunday night. Back up to the zone, another pullback, leg, and a retrace, and then what partners knew was that from 23.24, the next zone overhead was 36.37. So although it took 1, 2, now 3 days to make the journey from zone to zone, it has done it, and from 24 to 36, that is 12 points. In typical market behavior, we would see price running up 12 and back down 12 and then up 12, and sometimes 3-4 times in the course of a day. That's normal volatility. Okay, so that's the S&P in a nutshell. And this right here is, of course, a new all-time intraday high. 25.38. Okay, I see John's logged in. I don't know if he's ready yet. We'll give him a try. John, are you there? No. He's logged in, but not quite ready to come on yet. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike.
Oh, no. I was Just hanging out.
Oh, okay. Industry analysts predict the Bitcoin price could surpass $6,000 by the end of the year. This is depending upon whether the SegWit 2x hard fork is implemented, and if so, how contentious and disruptive the fork is. You're going to have to Google that. The Bitcoin price rose nearly 75% during Q3 and has most recently recovered from the early September contraction that was initiated by China's blanket ban on initial coin offerings and Bitcoin exchanges. On Monday, the Bitcoin price rose as high as $44.70, that's $4,470, although it has since dropped to a present value of $4,259. Now that Bitcoin has demonstrated consistent support at the 4,000 level, many analysts believe the price will begin extending toward its record near 5,000, eventually reaching past it to a new all-time high. Many are calling for 6,000 by the end of the year. Crypto Compare CEO Charles Hayter is not certain Bitcoin will be able to rise quite that far by the end of the year, but he agrees with many other analysts who believe 5,000 is within sight. He believes that this uptrend has been and will continue to be spurred on by increased regulatory clarity in major sectors of the crypto economy. Of course, any number of hurdles could trip up Bitcoin's bull run before the end of the year. And there's one clear obstacle Bitcoin faces during its march to 6,000. The contentious SegWit 2x hard fork scheduled for November. SegWit 2 was designed as an upgrade to the Bitcoin protocol, and though it has support from many mining operations and Bitcoin firms, a large segment of the community, including all of the Bitcoin core developers, oppose it. Despite months of fierce debate, SegWit 2x supporters and opponents remain entrenched in their positions unless one side concedes to the other or a compromise is reached. The network will split into two competing blockchains, each vying for the Bitcoin moniker. As it currently stands, it is likely that the free market will decide which chain survives. But though this process may be fair, it will not be painless, and it is not known what short and long-term ramifications it will have on the price. So be careful, be wary, be cautious. Let's see the chat box here. Dale had a problem with sound. Mike, I'm seeing your email today. I did not see it yesterday. So,
yeah, Dale had a problem with sound when I was talking.
Yeah, I got you.
And I'll reply to Juanita. Okay.
You're gonna reply to her? Okay.
Yeah. And Wesley right now. I'm gonna CC you on that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna mention that to you. Now, I don't know how many altcoins you guys have taken a look at. There is quite a few out there. Many have increased in price by thousands of %. None of them nothing has achieved the infamy of Bitcoin itself, because it was the first to the table. If you've taken the time to read most ICO white papers, and every ICO website, every company that's issuing a coin, a token, a currency, they've all got their white paper Between the big words, the diagrams, the infographics, it's all a pretty heady elixir. However, I've yet to come away from not one white paper with a clear understanding of the vision of the company or the function of its token. I have a suspicion that might be on purpose. Now, I promise you, when I finish this one, our white paper, you'll know just as much as we do. In the late 90s, the internet came along and changed the world as we know it. Men and their ideas not only changed the world, they generated immense fortunes for themselves and their co-laborers. Bill Gates, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, upspring companies like Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon. The list of names and companies is far too lengthy to cover here, but on our white paper there will be some links that take you to some pages that actually do have the time to list the people and the companies that benefited from the internet. My point in even bringing up the internet is, while these folks were busy figuring it out, most of us were simply fascinated by email and cat videos. By the time the thing imploded, the big tech meltdown, only then did many of us begin to look at the massive opportunities we had missed. While many wiped their tears, a second regiment of idealistic men and women began to sift through the carnage of the meltdown and have since built empires the likes of which the world has never seen. Years ago, we spoke often of Bitcoin on our daily radio show. Most found it an oddity, a bit crazy, but that doesn't change the fact. This isn't a theory, but a fact, that $100 invested in 2010 is worth $75 million US most days, given the extreme volatility of Bitcoin itself. So it's sadly true, most of us not only fail to carve out a fortune on the internet or this crazy fad called Bitcoin, there is good news in that the media is giving us good reason on a daily basis why there will be no one cryptocurrency left standing. Now we see this as perhaps the greatest opportunity of all, to launch our own tokens, create our own version of Bitcoin, and pioneer the process as we go. When Bitcoin arrived on the scene, only the true visionaries dared buy it because no merchants accepted it. As the buzz increased, a few odd restaurants and bars began to accept it just to draw patrons. Many hung signs in their windows, "We now accept Bitcoins," just to draw in customers. Because the early merchants had no mechanism for accepting Bitcoin, nor did the patrons flocking in have any to spend. It was this vision that slowly drew in the world, and on this very radio station, we talked and laughed and watched it rise from $2 to $4,000. Many say there's still plenty of room for Bitcoin to grow, and I won't deny it. I also believe there are a number of cryptocurrencies that will cater to specific technologies, certain segments of society, and just good old-fashioned capitalism. Our token is built on the Ethereum blockchain, which is slightly different from the Bitcoin blockchain technology, and thought by many banks and financial institutions to be the one that will best stand the test of time. This is the reason that we built on Ethereum. Now, on our white paper, I will point you to mathematical, scientific, and technical reasons why cryptocurrency is the future, and the future is now. This time, however, we refuse to be left behind. The CT Global Coin is created with the global Christian community in mind, a hedge against economies that print currency whenever it's needed, with no thought of tomorrow and paying the band when the music finally stops. There will never exist more than 1 million CT Global coins. The number of cryptocurrencies can be spent today anywhere that MasterCard or Visa is accepted. While there's no guarantee, our goal is to someday be added to that list. We're not so much concerned about where and when we'll spend it. There'll be plenty of time for that. First, we must establish our presence, become a contender, and I believe then the opportunities will seek us out. The global Christian community is not only large, it is one of the most sought-after demographics by retailers worldwide. We are known as people who are loyal, determined, possess moral fiber, and pay our bills. I believe the world will come to us, but we shall not rest on our laurels. Once we are fully funded and vested, we will seek out only the very best options for those who hold even one of the 1 million tokens that will ever exist. Your purchase of tokens at our pre-sale will be your statement that you too see the vision. That this time, right or wrong, history will not pin your destiny without your participation. As a community, we will have eyes and ears around the globe. We will make our presence known, and every token owner will be charged with recognizing opportunity wherever it may be found. And once found, you'll be charged with bringing it back and presenting it to the board and to our community at large. I do wish that when we scoffed at Bitcoin, we had hedged our skepticism with a few $1,000s. But alas, perhaps we've seen only a glimpse of what is really possible in this brave new digital world. However it plays out, I welcome you to the journey. And we will get you updated on that pre-sale with a date and a time just as soon as we can. If you've emailed us, I'm compiling a list and checking it twice, so no one will fall through the cracks. And I wish it could be yesterday, but got to cross our I's, or dot our I's and cross our T's. All right, let's see if John's ready to roll. John, are you there? Okay. All right, let's get this program underway. All right, that should bring him.
Hello?
Hey, John, welcome to the show. How are you? John,
Hello?
can you hear me? John.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Great. Sorry.
I can hear you.
Good. It's a kind of a historic day today. Well, first of all, the NASDAQ just hit a new all-time high at 60.15.
And the S&P did as well.
Yeah, and the Dow and the transports. Yesterday I said the transports would probably go through 10,000 today, and they did. So it's pulling back a bit right now. As a matter of fact, the market is starting to pull back. A little. I'd be a little bit careful here right now.
It just hit our weekly one of our weekly zones at 36/37.
It's starting to come back. We actually sold the NASDAQ futures at 60.12 a short while ago, and went short. And we're out of the S&P, sold the S&P right at the highs, and the Dow and the mid cap. So we're a little bit short right now. And I've warned to be out of all stocks, all long positions that are turning down right now. And the FANGs have started turning. I don't know why the market's turning down, but it's turning down. We were long cotton yesterday, or from the lows, either yesterday or the day before. It's gone through the roof today for some reason. And yesterday we sold the grains going into the close. We reversed the position about an hour ago and went long right at the lows, and they're going back up quite smartly right now. And orange juice, we mentioned that half of the Florida citrus crop has been wiped out, and orange juice are about to make new all-time highs. Sorry, new hurricane highs. They're getting up around the high of the year.
So half the crop was wiped out?
Apparently so, yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for Brazil and the imports, I mean, I think the price of orange juice would be probably double or triple where it is right now. So a lot of imports have kind of been a depressant on the price of orange juice over the last few years. But there is a chart. I'll try and dig it out and send it to you. It is a really stunning chart. It shows, we're at the lowest production rate in years, and if that's the case, and now the crop's been virtually obliterated, it's a pretty big deal, So, I mean, this could be the beginning. It's kind of like the lumber. Remember I said if the lumber starts going back up, a week or two after the storm, you want to be long. We actually got up to about 412 yesterday. I think we sold it around 411 or 410, and it's at 407 at the moment. I think we got to buy stuff just above the market to get back in case it gets because I mean it could just go limit up. Obviously there's going to be an unbelievable amount of lumber needed in Puerto Rico. So I think the lumber market's going to remain pretty firm for a while to come. The coffee went down. This coffee is crazy. Remember, we ran up to 140, right, off 115, and then it's been all the way down to 124 and a bit this morning. It could be a turn here. Could be turning. I think I'd probably buy it if it got over 125 3/4, 126. I'd take a shot at it. But I'm not, it's still making new lows, so we have to be a little bit careful. The sugar popped up as well, possibly off Cuba damage in the storm. So the commodities are picking back up, and the gold and silver got up last night to about 1284 this morning, and the silver got up to 1690, but they got sort of crushed down again. With the jobs number coming up on the week on Friday, that could be the day that determines whether the lows are in on gold or whether there's a bit more to go. But the fact that we're consolidating around this 1275 area, remember we mentioned that figure as being an important kind of area of support. So far it's turned out to be the gold stocks are actually acting quite well. The nugget is kind of near the highs of the day, and the gold actually has turned as well, GOLD. So I think you've got to be ready. By the way, I think the day we go past the 1284 again, whether it's today or in a few days' time, and we get above 17 on the silver, I think you can. You can buy the metals, and you might be in for a really, really big move in the metals, because this dollar looks like it might have peaked here yesterday, and if it breaks down any further, like about below 93, I think it's curtains for the dollar. So I think that. The big surprise will be how rapidly the metals go up in the next few weeks. Kind of looks a fairly good bet right now that that's going to happen. Did you get those charts I sent you yesterday?
Let me pull them up right now.
Okay. This is probably just a pullback in the markets, because these markets are really strong. So having got back, probably testing the sixth.
I don't have any charts from you.
Okay, look, I'll resend them. I'll resend them to you this afternoon. But
okay.
There'll probably be a good talking point tomorrow, because Warren Buffett came out yesterday and said stocks are cheap, and he could be right. Some stocks are cheap.
He said stocks are cheap.
Yeah, I know. Can you believe it? And he sort of said some crazy things like, as long as interest rates are low. I mean, I can't tell people strongly enough that the best thing that can ever happen to stocks right now is for interest rates to rise, and that's the whole reason why I sent these charts to you. Because when you see those charts, it's kind of like a light bulb going off in your head, You will see some things that will shock you, and very relevant to some of the comments we've made on this show in the past. And there's a very, I'm in the middle of researching this. I don't have the details of the full story on it yet, but there's a couple of fellas out there with a video about how the market has consolidated since 1996. A 21-year band that we're actually breaking out of right now, and the last band we broke out of was 6 years long in consumption back in the late 80s, sort of early 90s, and we went up 900% off that low in the Nasdaq. So the implications, how we talked about this sort of 13 to 15-year bull market that's unfolding before our eyes right now, and the enormous strength of it. I mean, I just can't. I mean, listen, we have never ever had days like yesterday, or today for that matter, where we're making new all-time highs in like so many indices. It's never happened before. Never. And the advanced decline line has been a relentless juggernaut, a monster move, absolute monster move that shows no signs of quitting, and it's never happened before. We've never had anything remotely like the strength of this bull market, and I'm telling you, I am more and more convinced every day that we're in a third of a third, or in some sort of a third wave that could go on for years. It really is amazing. It's really incredible, and I mean, we're going to have pullbacks and things, but there's we don't even have the earnings out yet. There is the one thing that was a little bit of a disappointment today is ADP came out with unexpected 135,000 jobs or something. There could be a shocker of a number on Friday. On the it could come in under 100,000. That based on the recent relationships with the ADP, or it could come out anywhere between 100,000. If it comes out at 200,000, I think it's probably going to be bullish for the market no matter what happens. But if it does come in on the low side, it could be very bullish for gold. You could possibly tack on $20 or $30 right away if the jobs number is particularly weak. So that's, but what that means is the Fed isn't going to raise rates. So you could argue that it's going to be bullish for the market. That's what happened the last time, if you remember. We had a kind of a lower than expected jobs number, and look at where we are a month later. We're way higher. So the market has decided that it wants to keep going, and it's got reasons to keep going. I mean, look, one of the reasons the market came out so strong yesterday was this ISM manufacturing index, the highest level in 13 years. I mean, this is really, really bullish. that's really part of the reason why the market's so strong. By the way, Trump hit 40 million followers today on his Twitter, still gaining between 100 and 200,000 people a day. And on his other Twitter, he's at around 20 and a half or 21. So he's about 61 million now on the Twitter alone. And he's at about 120 million followers altogether on social media.
Do you think his approval ratings are changing any?
You know, I was kind of shocked yesterday to see it was still a 42, but it's back to 44 today. And I kind of think it's going to break out here and maybe get up to 40, 46. It might even go up to 50 here before too long. I mean, coming out and saying that he wanted to wipe out Puerto Rico's debt was a pretty bold thing to say yesterday. You know, this Puerto Rico is a pretty big deal, and to wipe out $70-80 billion worth of debt, whether he's going to be able to do it or not is one thing, but coming out and saying that he's going to try and do it could win him a lot of points, you know. So I think it's a pretty heroic thing to do, and it's look, you know, they can't. It's probably a winner because they can't come out from under it.
They can't pay it. They can't pay it back anyway.
Exactly, and it's such a burden on the economy and on the people down there. I mean, they deserve a break after what happened. You know, everybody who gets their home blown away. Don't you think you deserve a break? You know, I think the more they can help. I mean, helping Puerto Rico recover is a very big win for Trump. You know, apart from the nonsense that went on, you know, which is kind of pathetic. You know, it was a very tough assignment, and they pretty much got it under control. But it was, you know, it's unprecedented. They never had a situation where, I don't think there's ever been a situation where so many people lost power and everything, you know, literally overnight, and they're still out weeks later. I mean, it's unprecedented. There's been a few instances where people have lost power for weeks on end before in the U.S., but only pockets of people, only small, you know, relatively, you know, small populations, not 3.5 million people.
Well, between the natural disasters, the storms, flooding, you know, and this most recent incident Sunday night, I mean, this country has been through an awful lot in the past month, 2 months, whatever the timeline is. And to see this market continuing to climb the wall of worry, an old term that you brought up, you mentioned yesterday, it's hard to imagine. It's hard to fathom that prices continue to climb, and Buffett saying that, you know, stocks are underpriced, and we have so much on our hands, so much rebuilding to do, but I guess that will provide impetus for the economy. It's going to create jobs. I mean,
it definitely will. And by the way,
raw materials.
Yeah. By the way, so there's a report out there. Haven't listened to it yet, but some pretty smart oil guy saying the oil could go to $500 a barrel. I mean, I think it could go to 200 and about 500, but I really think it could go to 200 by 2020 or sometime in the early 20s because of the lack of investment that's been made. You know, they could end up in a big squeeze. But the other thing about Buffett, and it's made, you know what it made me think of? You remember in about actually I think he said it in 2002 or 3, right at the bottom. He said stocks stink. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you know, it's quite interesting. There's an article in Forbes from 2004. If you Google stocks stink and read that article, it's really an amazing article because nobody saw the bull market coming. You know, nobody even saw the recovery from 2004 to 2007. Not even Buffett. They were saying we were going to be in a bear market for 10 years, and we were going nowhere. Because remember, I used to make the point about Robert Farrell, the former global strategist for Merrill Lynch. You know, they asked him in 1990, you know, what sort of a decade the 90s was gonna be, and he said a boring decade of anemic growth.
Right.
And actually, you know, that's kind of what Buffett, just Buffett, Bogle, and Gross, all three of them, said this in 2004. And nothing could have been, you know, more wrong. It couldn't have been more wrong. You know, as a matter of fact, that was the time when Google was launching, and they were bad-mouthing Google, and so it's a fascinating article. But I think that you can take where we are today in a different light, because, you know, because we are climbing a wall of worry. we you know, almost everybody's of the opinion the market's too high and it's going to crash right now. Look, you know, we've still got to get through this 87 syndrome before the month is over. But as I said yesterday, it looks a lot more like 1986. And if that's the case, you know, you can't even imagine where we're going to go in this market. But there's, you know, there are a lot of things different right now from any time in history. You know, we're not overheating in the same way as we were in 2007 or in 2000 for that matter. And so there are many different things, and we are growing. If we're growing at 3%, it's hard for the market to be correcting with a 3% growth. If we grow at 4% in the fourth quarter, or in the third or fourth quarter, you know, that could add a lot more to the market. So, and look, stocks like some of these stocks. I mean, you know, Buffett's not dumb. He's saying it's cheap for a reason. Some of these really big heavyweight tech stocks, especially since they corrected, probably are undervalued right now. Remember, these things are growing at a monster rate. Facebook, like I say, it's hard to believe that these, you know, half a dozen stocks have added $2 trillion in value to the economy, to the market.
It is hard to imagine, but it's a fact, and so we have to accept it.
Exactly. So,
however long it remains to be a fact.
Exactly. So, listen, I better take this call. Somebody's trying to get a hold of me. So, yeah,
go ahead.
I'll duck out today and look forward to catching up tomorrow. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Have a good day. Okay. Got a browser locked up on me, and I was just checking for Wayne. He's usually right on time. It's probably the first of the month. He may not have got his new link. As soon as my browser unlocks, we'll shoot him a quick email. I just might. Come on. I sent him a text message. It's the first of the month, and the links change, and probably didn't dawn on him. But I'll take one more. Here. No, I don't think I'm going to be texting him. All right. The browser unlock. Why no? It didn't. See how the S&P is bunching up here inside of that zone? And a nice cruise up till we hit that. Now don't forget, we got one more overhead. Way up there at 48/49. Okay, browser, come back to life. Maybe not. Finally. Still not unlocking. Wow. Time for a reboot. Okay. All right, I'll wait for him to answer that email. And we'll go to our good word for the day. I told you yesterday this would be a multi-part series. Yesterday was part 1, talking about husbands and wives, marriage, the cornerstone of an orderly society. Okay, get the notes loaded, and we'll be off and running. And then good old-fashioned reboot. Okay, now this is a scripture that I also used to use in wedding ceremonies, and you know, since the feminist movement of the 70s, I suppose, sometimes women have difficulty with this. 1 Corinthians 11:3, Christ is the head of every man, and the man is the head of a woman. Well, you got to take that in proper context, but nonetheless, it's there. It's there for a reason. Paul writes, I want you to understand that Christ is the head of every man, and the man is the head of the woman, and God is the head of Christ. There is an order to how God operates. Just as Christ was submitted to God, husbands are supposed to be submitted to Christ, and wives are supposed to be submitted to godly husbands. Note the words, the man is the head of the woman. Not all women. This arrangement doesn't apply in the workplace or in other relationships. When we fail to honor God's structure, the enemy can enter our homes just as he entered the first home, in the garden. Submission is an unpopular word today, but when we understand it from a biblical perspective, we see that it is a positive force to accomplish good, not a negative force that subjects women to an inferior status. It's so important to understand, because so many men get that backwards. The Greek word for submission, hupotasso, means to willingly place oneself under the authority of another. It doesn't involve coercion, but rather a willingness to take who and what God made you and submit it to the authority of another. In the husband's case, to God, and in the wife's case, to God and to her husband. Paul writes in Ephesians 5:25, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. That, men, is the one I want you to really take some time to think about and meditate on. Love your wife just as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her. When a husband loves his wife that way and gives himself to her, she will gladly submit to his leadership in the home. It's her husband's love and protection that releases her into the fullness of her God-given potential. I encourage you to study those scriptures, 1 Corinthians 11:3, Ephesians 5:25. Read the verse before and the verse after. Put it in proper context. And then take a look at your marriage situation, your home, and ask yourself, is it playing out there? If not, what steps need to be taken to put it in proper order? What transpires in the home will affect every other area of your life. Your job, your relationships with other people, any and everything that you put your hand to will be affected. So you got to get it right at home. Not only your relationship with your wife, and wives, your relationship with your husband, but the relationship with your children. There is a natural order. God outlined it for us. We simply, all of us, not just women, we all have to submit to that which is correct. You watched me walk through the charts. Just surprisingly, with all these new all-time highs, from a trading standpoint, not much to talk about. So we'll scan through these few final headlines, and I think Wayne is going to miss us today. He may have emailed me earlier and I missed it. Okay, wrapping it up. Uber plans to do an IPO in 2019. Company's board has agreed to move forward with a multi-billion-dollar deal that would give Japan's SoftBank as much as a 17% stake in Uber. Uber said it has had a constructive meeting with London regulators, Transport for London, about its operating license. They, for all intents and purposes, were kicked out of London. Amazon is about to be fined millions of euros in back taxes by the European Union. The Commission is preparing to bill the company for back taxes in Luxembourg, where Amazon has set up a complex structure to pay minimal tax on its European operations. Yahoo's infamous hack, already one of the worst in history, well, it just got a little worse. All 3 billion user accounts at Yahoo in 2013 were affected by the security breach. Now, the company, which Verizon acquired in June, said on Tuesday that Yahoo had previously estimated the hack only affected a third of the accounts, or 1 billion, but if you had an account at Yahoo in 2013, you've been hacked. WhatsApp is rolling out its own set of emoji. I try to be a Renaissance man, a forward-thinking kind of guy, but emoji, I don't get it. I'm sure I should, but the truth is I don't. Now, the WhatsApp emoji looks somewhat similar to the iOS emoji, which the messaging app has so far adopted even on Android phones, but have a slightly flatter look that is reminiscent of LG's proprietary set. Snap CEO Evan Spiegel thinks hardware like the company's spectacle glasses will be an important part of the tech company's business one day, but not for at least a decade. Disney looked at acquiring Twitter last year, but decided to buy video streaming firm BAM Tech instead. CEO Bob Iger made the confession on stage at Vanity Fair's New Establishment Conference, and we told you yesterday that Disney is also rolling out their very own cryptocurrency. Amazon has bought a startup that makes 3D scans of your body. It's called Body Labs. And Silicon Valley's LSD habit is exploding. A 27-year-old is offering how-to tutorials over Skype. From the 60s, what are we, like 60 years later now? 50-something years later? It's back. Wonder what Haight-Ashbury will be like this time around. And last, Microsoft announced the acquisition of AltSpace VR. It's a Californian startup behind a virtual reality social networking service of the very same name. So there you have it, guys. That is the news, all the news that is news. I hope Wayne's okay. He's usually very prompt, or even, like I say, he may have emailed me and I somehow missed it. But on that note, we're going to wrap it for today. Tomorrow is Thursday, which is Partners Workshop. So if you are on the trial, and if you have any questions on what it takes to become a partner, just give us an email, support@cfrn.net, and we'll get you out the information you need. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.